I want to speak to something I see happening in many lives right now. There is a battle being fought internally. It's a battle between what you feel and what you know to be true. It's a battle between your emotions and your mind. It's a battle between the part of you that reacts and the part of you that chooses. And many of you are tired from this battle. You feel like you are constantly being controlled by your emotions. You feel like your feelings dictate your choices. You feel like you can't do what you know you should do because your emotions are too strong. You feel pulled in directions you don't want to go. You feel trapped by how you feel. And I understand this weariness. I see it. I recognize the exhaustion of being emotional. The exhaustion of feeling one thing, believing another, and being unable to align your actions with what you actually believe. That's a particular kind of tiredness. That's a particular kind of struggle. But what I want to tell you today is that there is another way. There is a way to have your mind be stronger than your emotions. There is a way to choose what you do regardless of how you feel. There is a way to be free from the tyranny of emotion. There is a way to win. And I'm not talking about denying your emotions or pretending they don't exist. I'm not talking about becoming cold or disconnected or numb. I'm talking about something much more powerful and much more real. I'm talking about developing the mental and spiritual strength to acknowledge your emotions while not being controlled by them. I'm talking about developing the capacity to feel something and still choose something different. I sense something in you. I sense a part of you that knows this is possible. I sense a part of you that has experienced moments when you did choose differently than your emotions wanted you to. I sense a part of you that knows deep down that you're stronger than your emotions. That there is a part of you that can govern the rest of you. That there is something in you that can choose. What I want to offer you today is understanding. Understanding of how this works. Understanding of why your emotions are so powerful. Understanding of how you develop the mental strength to override them. Understanding of what it means to actually win in this internal battle. Because you can win. You can have your mind be stronger than your emotions. It's not easy. It's not natural. It requires practice and commitment and grace. But it's absolutely possible. And when you achieve it, when you develop this strength, everything changes. Let me start by establishing something that's crucial to understand. I need to help you see emotions clearly without judgment so that you can understand what's happening when emotions seem to control you. Emotions are not bad. This is important. Emotions are not the enemy. Emotions are not something to be ashamed of or to fight against. Emotions are a part of being human. Emotions carry information. Emotions can alert you to danger. Emotions can show you what you care about. Emotions can motivate you toward connection and love. But emotions are also reactive. Emotions are designed to move you quickly. When you encounter a threat, your emotions activate the fight or flight response. You don't have time to think about it. Your body responds. This is useful when the threat is real and immediate. But in modern life, many of our emotional reactions are not to real, immediate threats. They are to perceived threats. They are to ideas. They are to scenarios we imagine. They are to situations that require thought and discernment, not just reaction. So the issue is not that you have emotions. The issue is that your emotions are being treated as if they are always correct, always justified, always the right guide for behavior, but they are not. Emotions can be lying to you. Emotions can be reacting to false information. Emotions can be driving you toward choices that don't align with your values or your long-term well-being. Think about it. You might feel afraid and interpret that fear as a sign that something is actually dangerous. But the fear might be coming from past trauma. The fear might be unfounded. The fear might be about a perceived social rejection that isn't actually happening. Your emotion is valid, the fear is real, but the information the fear is giving you might not be accurate. Or you might feel angry and think that anger is justified, so you express it in a way that damages a relationship. But the anger might be coming from an unrealistic expectation. The anger might be displaced anger about something else. The anger is real, but the interpretation of the anger and the action the anger is driving might not be what you actually want. This is why it's so important to develop a mind that's stronger than your emotions. Not to suppress emotions, but to be able to observe them, understand them, and choose how to respond to them. Here's a metaphor that helps. Imagine your emotions as a horse. The horse is powerful. The horse has energy. The horse wants to move, but you are the rider. Your mind is the rider. Your will is the rider. Your values are the rider. The horse's job is not to dictate where you go. The horse's job is to carry you. But you need to be a skilled rider. You need to have the strength and the knowledge and the practice to actually guide the horse, even when the horse wants to go somewhere else. Many of us have let the horse run wherever it wants. We've let our emotions gallop us toward places we don't want to go. We've been thrown from the saddle and trampled by our own emotions. We've lost control. But what's possible, what's available to you, is to become a skilled rider, to develop the strength to stay in the saddle, to learn how to guide your emotions toward where you actually want to go, to have your mind be strong enough to direct your emotional energy rather than be controlled by it. Now, let me talk about what makes a mind stronger than emotions, because this is not just about willpower. This is not just about gritting your teeth and forcing yourself to do something. That approach can work for a while, but it's not sustainable. It eventually breaks down. A mind that's stronger than emotions is rooted in several things. First, is rooted in truth. The mind is governed by what you believe to be true. If you believe a lie, if you believe you are not capable, if you believe you are not worthy, if you believe the world is dangerous, if you believe you never change, then your mind will operate from that false truth. And your emotions will be aligned with that false truth. But when you align your mind with actual truth, truth about who you are, truth about God's character, truth about what's possible, truth about your capacity to change your mind, becomes grounded, and a grounded mind is stronger than emotions. Second, a mind that's stronger than emotions is rooted in purpose. When you have a clear sense of purpose, when you know why you are here, when you are oriented towards something that matters, your mind has something to hold on to. Your mind has a direction. And when your emotions try to pull you off course, your mind can say, no, I'm moving towards something that matters more than how I feel right now. Third, a mind that's stronger than emotions is rooted in discipline. The mind is like a muscle. It gets stronger with use. Every time you choose to do what you know is right, rather than what you feel like doing, you're strengthening your mind. Every time you observe your emotion without acting on it, you're strengthening your mind. Every time you pause between stimulus and response, you're strengthening your mind. Fourth, a mind that's stronger than emotions is rooted in practice. This is not something that happens once. This is something that's practiced again and again. You practice choosing your thoughts. You practice observing your emotions. You practice aligning your actions with your values. And through repetition, what was difficult becomes easier. What required conscious effort becomes more automatic. Fifth, a mind that's stronger than emotions is rooted in surrender to something larger than yourself. This is the spiritual component. When your mind is aligned with God, when your will is submitted to God's will, when your thoughts are governed by God's truth, your mind becomes strengthened by something larger than yourself. You're not relying only on your own willpower. You're accessing God's strength. You're aligning yourself with the source of all strength. This is what makes it possible. This is what makes it sustainable. This is what transforms the struggle from something you are doing alone to something you're doing with God. Let me talk about what happens when your mind is stronger than your emotions. Because this is the promise. This is what becomes possible. When your mind is stronger than your emotions, you have choice. You're no longer automatically reacting. You're not a slave to how you feel. You can feel something and still choose something different. You can feel afraid and still move forward. You can feel discouraged and still keep walking. You can feel hurt and still be kind. You can feel overwhelmed and still take the next step. This is freedom. This is what freedom actually feels like. It's not the absence of difficult emotions. It's the presence of choice. It's the capacity to be emotionally authentic while still choosing how to act. When your mind is stronger than your emotions, you win. You win in your relationships because you are not letting anger drive your words. You win in your career because you are not letting discouragement stop your work. You win in your health because you are not letting cravings override your values. You win in your spiritual life because you are not letting doubt undermine your faith. The wins might seem small at first. Choosing not to react in anger to a comment. Choosing to get up and exercise even though you don't feel like it. Choosing to trust God even though you feel afraid. These seem small, but they compound, they accumulate. Over time, these small wins transform your entire life. When your mind is stronger than your emotions, you develop character. Character is built through choosing to do what's right when it's hard, when you don't feel like it, when your emotions are pulling you another direction. Every time you do this, you build character. And character is stronger than talent, stronger than circumstance, stronger than luck. When your mind is stronger than your emotions, you access resilience. You are no longer knocked down by difficult emotions. You are no longer destabilized by change. You are no longer devastated by disappointment. You can experience these things and still keep moving forward. Let me be clear about something important. Having your mind be stronger than your emotions does not mean you don't feel things. It does not mean you become numb or cold or disconnected. You still feel, probably you feel even more deeply once you're not spending all your energy managing emotions. What it means is that you feel your emotions without being controlled by them. You feel sadness, but sadness doesn't stop you from moving forward. You feel fear, but fear doesn't prevent you from taking action. You feel loneliness, but loneliness doesn't make you compromise your values to feel connected. This is the nuance that's so important. This is what separates emotional maturity from emotional suppression. Now, let me talk about the path to developing a mind stronger than emotions. Because understanding the principle is one thing. Actually building this capacity is another. The first step is awareness. You need to become aware of your patterns. When do your emotions control you? What emotions are most powerful for you? What triggers set off your reactive emotions? What do your emotions make you want to do? What choices do your emotions drive you toward? This awareness is not judgment. You're not trying to be ashamed of your patterns. You're simply observing. You're becoming a student of your own mind and emotions. You're noticing what happens. The second step is understanding. Once you are aware of your patterns, you need to understand them. Why does this emotion come up? What is this emotion trying to tell you? What need is underlying this emotion? What belief is driving this emotion? If you feel anxious, maybe it's telling you that you are trying to control something you can't control. Maybe it's telling you that you need to trust more. If you feel angry, maybe it's telling you that a boundary has been violated. Maybe it's telling you that you have an expectation that wasn't met. Understanding emotions is not the same as being controlled by them. Understanding actually gives you more choice, not less. The third step is learning to pause. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space, you can choose. But most people don't pause. They react immediately. But if you can learn to pause, to take a breath, to count to 10, to pray, to take a moment before responding, you create the space where your mind can take control. This pause is sometimes called mindfulness. Sometimes it's called prayer. Sometimes it's just taking a moment. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that you create the space between what happens and how you respond. The fourth step is choosing. Once you've paused, once you're aware, once you understand, you can choose. You can choose what you do next. You can choose your response. You can choose to align your action with your values rather than with your emotions. This choice might feel unnatural at first. Your emotions will be screaming at you. They'll be pulling you toward what you've always done. But you can choose differently. You can stay in the pause. You can let your mind guide you. The fifth step is practice. You do this again and again. You practice pausing. You practice choosing. You practice aligning your actions with your values. And through practice, your mind gets stronger. Your ability to make choices increases. Your resilience develops. The sixth step is grace. You're going to fail at this sometimes. You're going to be controlled by your emotions. You're going to react in ways you wish you hadn't. You're going to make choices you regret. And when that happens, you need to extend grace to yourself. You need to acknowledge that you tried, you failed, you're learning, and you need to try again. Grace is not excuse. You're not giving up on changing, but you are also not condemning yourself for being human. You're giving yourself permission to learn, to grow, to become stronger over time. These are the steps: awareness, understanding, pausing, choosing, practice, grace. And through these steps, gradually over time, your mind becomes stronger than your emotions. Now let me ground this in scripture, because this principle is woven throughout the Bible. The Bible talks about mind over emotion. The Bible talks about will. The Bible talks about the capacity to choose. The Bible talks about transformation through the renewal of your mind. Proverbs 23:7, NKJV. For as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. This verse is foundational. Your thoughts create who you are. Not just what you do, but who you become. If you think you are inadequate, you become inadequate. If you think you are strong, you become strong. If you think you can overcome, you become someone who overcomes. If you think you are stuck, you become stuck. Your mind is powerful. Your thoughts shape your reality. So when you are working to make your mind stronger than your emotions, you're not just managing feelings, you're creating a new reality. You're becoming a different person. This is why controlling your thoughts matters. This is why feeding your mind with truth matters. This is why choosing what you think about matters. You are literally creating yourself through your thoughts. Romans 12:2, NKJV. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Paul is talking about transformation. He's saying that transformation doesn't happen through external force. Transformation happens through the renewal of your mind. When you change how you think, when you align your mind with truth, when you update your beliefs, transformation happens. This is powerful. This means that real change is available to you. Real transformation is possible, but it requires renewing your mind. It requires updating your thinking. It requires choosing new thought patterns. And notice the result. You prove God's will. You become someone who understands what God is calling you toward. You become someone capable of making good choices. This is what happens when your mind is renewed, when your mind is strong. Philippians 4:8-9, NKJV. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue, and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. The things which you learned and received and heard and saw in me, these do, and the God of peace will be with you. Paul is giving specific instruction about what to think about. He's saying to deliberately choose what you meditate on. He's saying to focus on what is true, noble, just, pure, lovely. He's saying that what you think about matters. And then he adds something crucial. Meditate on these things, and the God of peace will be with you. When you discipline your mind, when you choose what you think about, peace becomes available to you. This is the reward of mental discipline. This is not just positive thinking. This is strategic thinking. This is choosing to focus your mind on what is true and good rather than on what is false and harmful. 2 Timothy 1:7, NKJV. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Paul is saying that your nature is not fearful. Your nature is not controlled by emotions. Your nature is power. Your nature is love. Your nature is a sound mind, which means a mind that's in control, a mind that's disciplined, a mind that's strong. Fear is not your identity. Emotional reactivity is not your nature. A strong, disciplined mind is your nature. You have this capacity within you, given to you by God. When you feel fear trying to control you, you can remember, this is not who I am. I have a sound mind. I have the capacity to choose differently. Philippians 4:6-7, NKJV. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Paul is saying that when anxiety, emotion arises, you have a choice. You can be anxious or you can pray. You can let the emotion control you, or you can submit the emotion to God. And when you choose prayer over anxiety, something shifts. The peace of God comes. Not because the problem is solved, but because you've shifted where you are focused. You've shifted from the emotion to God. You've shifted from the problem to the solution. This is the power of choosing your mind over your emotion. When you do, peace becomes available. 1 Peter 1:13, NKJV. Therefore, gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and rest your hope fully upon the grace that is to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Peter is talking about preparing your mind. Gird up the loins of your mind means to prepare, to strengthen, to get your mind in shape. It's a metaphor from preparing for battle or for a journey. Peter is saying that your mind needs to be prepared. Your mind needs to be strengthened. Your mind needs to be disciplined. And when it is, you can rest your hope on God's grace. This is what we're talking about. Preparing your mind, strengthening your mind, disciplining your mind, so that your mind can guide you instead of your emotions controlling you. Proverbs 16:32, NKJV. He who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. This is a powerful statement. Someone who can control their emotions, who can rule their own spirit, is considered greater than a military conqueror. Why? Because conquering yourself is harder than conquering external enemies. Because ruling your own spirit requires more strength and wisdom than any external victory. This is the measure of strength in God's economy. It's not about how much you can overpower others. It's about how much you can govern yourself. It's about ruling your own emotions instead of being ruled by them. 1 Corinthians 9:24-27, NKJV. Do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may obtain it. And everyone who competes for the prize is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a perishable crown, but we for an imperishable crown. Therefore I run thus, not with uncertainty. Thus I fight, not as one who beats the air, but I discipline my body and bring it into subjection, lest when I have preached to others, I myself should become disqualified. Paul is using the metaphor of athletic training. He's saying that discipline is necessary. Athletes discipline themselves. They don't do whatever they feel like. They practice regularly, they eat well, they train their bodies. And Paul applies this to the spiritual life. Paul says he disciplines his body, brings it into subjection, not through harsh treatment, but through intentional training toward a goal. Paul runs toward the prize. Paul fights with purpose. Paul disciplines himself so that he won't be disqualified. This is what we are talking about. Disciplining yourself. Training your mind and emotions toward a goal, not in a harsh, punishing way, but in a purposeful, directed way. Now, let me speak directly to your heart about what you might be experiencing as you struggle with having your mind be stronger than your emotions. Many of you are experiencing shame about your emotions. You feel like you should be able to control them better. You feel like there's something wrong with you for feeling things so intensely. You feel like other people have it more together. Manage their emotions better. Don't struggle like you do. And I want to tell you something important. Your emotional intensity is not a flaw. Your capacity to feel deeply is not something to be ashamed of. Your emotions are not the problem. The problem is when you don't have the mental strength to govern them. So release the shame. Your emotional nature is part of who you are. Sensitive people, passionate people, people who feel things deeply, these people can do tremendous good in the world because of their emotional capacity. What you need is not to feel less. What you need is to develop the mental capacity to guide your feelings. Many of you are experiencing frustration. You understand this principle intellectually. You know you should be able to make choices regardless of how you feel. You know your mind should be stronger than your emotions. But when the moment comes, when the emotion hits, you find yourself controlled by it anyway. And you feel frustrated that you're not making the progress you think you should be making. And I want to tell you something, this is normal. This is part of the process. You're learning a new skill. You're retraining your brain. You're building new neural pathways. This is not something that happens overnight. This is something that happens gradually through practice. So extend grace to yourself. Celebrate the times you do pause, do choose, do align with your values. Don't focus only on the times you're still controlled by your emotions. Focus on the progress you are making. Many of you are experiencing the weight of continued struggle. You've been working on this, you've been practicing, pausing and choosing, but you're still having moments where emotions control you. You're still struggling. And you're tired. You are tired of the effort it takes to manage yourself. And I want to tell you, the effort gets easier over time. What requires tremendous conscious effort now will eventually become more automatic. The pause that you have to think about now will become more instinctive. The choice that's hard now will become easier. But in the meantime, in this season of effort, I want to encourage you, this is not wasted effort. Every time you practice, you're building capacity. Every time you choose your mind over your emotion, you're strengthening your mind. Every time you pause, instead of react, you're rewiring your brain. The effort is doing something, is building something. You are becoming stronger. Many of you are experiencing the complexity of emotions. You might understand the principle intellectually, but your emotional life is complicated. You might have trauma, you might have depression, you might have anxiety that doesn't respond to simple choice. You might have emotions that are not just about choice, but about brain chemistry or past wounding. And I want to acknowledge this. If you're dealing with significant mental health issues, if you're struggling with trauma or depression or anxiety disorders, this might require professional support. This might require therapy. This might require medication. This is not failure. This is wisdom. The principle of your mind being stronger than your emotions still applies. But in the context of getting support, you might be developing the mental strength to work with a therapist to address trauma. You might be taking medication that helps your brain function better and then using your mind to guide your emotions. You might be in the process of healing, and as you heal, your capacity to choose becomes greater. So if you are dealing with significant emotional struggles, don't just rely on willpower and choice. Get the support you need. And then from that place of support, develop your mental strength. Many of you are experiencing doubt about whether this is actually possible. You're wondering if you can really have your mind be stronger than your emotions. You're wondering if this is just wishful thinking. You're wondering if you're too broken, too damaged, too reactive to actually change this. And I want to tell you, yes, this is possible. It's not easy, it's not quick, but it's absolutely possible. You have the capacity for this. God has given you the capacity for this. Your mind is more powerful than your emotions. Your will is stronger than your impulses. Your values are more real than your feelings. The fact that you are struggling doesn't mean it's not possible. The fact that you are having a hard time doesn't mean you can't change this. The fact that you're still sometimes controlled by emotions doesn't mean you're doomed to always be. You can develop this capacity. You can have your mind be stronger than your emotions. You can win. Let me talk about what life looks like when your mind is stronger than your emotions, because I want you to have a vision of what you're working toward. I want you to understand what becomes possible. When your mind is stronger than your emotions, you have peace. Not because nothing difficult happens, but because difficult things don't overwhelm you. Your emotions still come up, but you're no longer at their mercy. You can feel scared and still move forward. You can feel sad and still find joy. You can feel disappointed and still hope. When your mind is stronger than your emotions, you have integrity. You do what you say you do. You keep your commitments. You're consistent. You're reliable. You're someone people can count on because you are not swayed by your moods. When your mind is stronger than your emotions, you have influence. People respect someone who's governed themselves. People follow someone who's strong and calm and consistent, not someone who's reactive and emotional and unstable. Your strength doesn't intimidate people. It gives them hope that they can be strong too. When your mind is stronger than your emotions, you have freedom. You're no longer trapped in reactive patterns. You're no longer enslaved to your moods. You're free to choose. You're free to move toward what you actually want instead of being pushed around by what you feel. When your mind is stronger than your emotions, you have growth. Because growth requires doing hard things. Growth requires making choices that aren't comfortable. Growth requires consistency when you don't feel motivated. And when your mind is strong, you can do all of these things. When your mind is stronger than your emotions, you have purpose. Because emotions can pull you away from your purpose. Emotions can make you doubt. Emotions can make you want to give up. But when your mind is strong, your purpose is stronger than your emotions. You keep moving toward what matters. When your mind is stronger than your emotions, you have hope. Because hope is a choice. Hope is a decision about what you believe about the future. Emotions might be telling you there's no hope, but your mind can choose hope. Your mind can choose to believe that things can change, that you can change, that God is working. This is what's available to you. This is the life that becomes possible when your mind is stronger than your emotions. I want to give you some practical tools that help strengthen your mind against emotions. First is naming. When an emotion comes up, name it. This is fear. This is anger. This is sadness. Simply naming the emotion creates distance between you and the emotion. You're no longer just the emotion. You're observing the emotion. Second is questioning. Ask yourself, is this emotion true? Does this fear reflect reality? Does this anger reflect what I actually value? Does this discouragement reflect truth? Often, the answer is no. The emotion is lying to you. And when you recognize the lie, you take power back. Third is breathing. Your nervous system is connected to your breath. When you breathe slowly and deeply, you calm your nervous system. This gives your thinking brain a chance to come back online. A simple practice of breathing deeply before responding can completely change your capacity to make good choices. Fourth is remembering your values. When an emotion is pulling you, remember what you value. Remember your purpose. Remember the kind of person you want to be. Hold that image in your mind. Let that be more powerful than the emotion. Fifth is waiting. Emotions are intense, but they are temporary. If you can wait, if you can delay your response, often the intensity of the emotion fades. Not immediately, but give it time. Give yourself time before you respond. Let the emotion calm down, then make your choice. Six is talking to someone. Sometimes we need to process emotions with someone else. Talking doesn't mean being controlled by emotion. It means processing the emotion with someone who can help you gain perspective. Seventh is moving. Physical movement shifts your state. If you're sitting and feeling depressed, get up and move. If you're anxious, go for a walk. If you're angry, exercise. Movement helps emotions flow through you rather than get stuck. Eighth is praying. This is the spiritual practice. When you are struggling with emotion, pray. Ask God for help. Ask God for strength. Ask God to help you see clearly. Prayer shifts your focus from the emotion to God, and in that shift you regain power. Ninth is reprogramming your thoughts. If you notice that certain thoughts fuel certain emotions, work on changing those thoughts. If the thought "I'm not capable" fuels discouragement, replace it with "I'm becoming more capable." If the thought "everyone is judging me" fuels anxiety, replace it with "people are concerned with their own lives." This is not denying reality. This is choosing what's true. 10th is celebrating small wins. Every time you choose your mind over your emotions, celebrate. Don't focus on how much further you have to go. Focus on the fact that you made a choice. You're strengthening your mind. These are practical tools. Use them. Experiment with them. Find what works for you. Build your own toolkit for managing your emotional life. Let me speak some declarations over you. These are declarations of truth about your capacity and about who you are becoming. I have a mind that's strong. My mind is capable of governing my emotions. My mind is strong enough to direct my choices. I have the capacity to pause. I have the capacity to create space between stimulus and response. In that space, I can choose. I am not controlled by my emotions. I feel my emotions, but I am not enslaved to them. I can feel something and still choose something different. I am becoming more disciplined. Every day, as I practice choosing my mind over my emotion, I'm becoming stronger, I'm building capacity, I'm developing discipline. My thoughts create my reality. I choose my thoughts carefully. I focus my mind on what is true and good, and through my thoughts, I create a better life. I am aligned with God's truth. My mind is being renewed by God's truth. My thoughts are being transformed by God's perspective. I am becoming someone whose mind is governed by truth. I have the grace to fail and try again. When I'm controlled by emotion, when I react in ways I regret, I extend grace to myself. I learn, I try again, I keep practicing. I am stronger than my circumstances. My circumstances might be difficult, my emotions might be intense, but my mind is strong enough to navigate what comes. I am becoming the kind of person I want to be. Through the daily practice of choosing my mind over my emotion, I'm becoming someone different. I'm becoming someone I respect. My mind is winning. Over time, through practice and grace, my mind is becoming stronger than my emotions. I am winning this internal battle. Let me close with a prayer for you. A prayer that focuses on the strength you are developing and the grace you need. Father, I come before you recognizing that the battle I'm fighting is an internal battle. It's the battle between my emotions and my mind, between my impulses and my values, between what I feel and what I know to be true. I ask you to strengthen my mind. I ask you to develop in me the capacity to think clearly, to choose wisely, to align my actions with my values, even when my emotions are pulling me another direction. Help me to be aware. Help me to notice my patterns. Help me to understand my emotions without being controlled by them. Help me to develop the discernment to see when my emotions are lying to me. Help me to pause in that crucial moment between stimulus and response. Help me to create space. Help me to take a breath, to pray, to think before I act. Help me to choose. When my emotions are screaming at me to do one thing, help my mind be strong enough to choose something different. Help me to align my actions with my values, not with my moods. Help me to practice. I know this is a skill that develops over time. I know I'll fail sometimes. I know I'll be controlled by emotion sometimes, but help me to keep practicing. Help me to keep trying. Help me to see each practice as building strength. Help me to extend grace. When I fall short, when I'm controlled by emotion, when I react in ways I regret, help me to forgive myself. Help me to learn. Help me to try again without shame or condemnation. Help me to remember my purpose. When emotions are pulling me away from what matters, help me to remember why I'm here. Help me to remember the kind of person I want to be. Help my purpose be stronger than my emotions. And Father, help me to trust. Help me to trust that as I practice this, as I walk toward having my mind be stronger than my emotions, I'm becoming the person you've created me to be. Help me to trust that the effort is not wasted. Help me to trust that I'm winning this internal battle. Thank you for the strength you give me. Thank you for the capacity to choose. Thank you for the grace to keep trying. Thank you for believing in me even when I doubt myself. Amen. As you move forward from here, I want you to understand something. The battle between your mind and your emotions is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're human. It's a sign that you're alive. It's a sign that you're growing. The fact that you're struggling with this means you care about being better. You care about aligning your life with your values. You care about having integrity. You care about being someone you respect. This caring is what will sustain you through the practice of strengthening your mind. The wins might seem small. Pausing instead of reacting. Choosing to move forward despite fear. Choosing kindness despite anger. Choosing hope despite discouragement. These wins might seem small, but they are real. They are building something. They are creating a different life. And over time, over months and years, if you practice this consistently, your entire life will transform. Not because you become cold or detached or numb, but because you've developed the strength to be emotionally authentic while still choosing aligned action. You've developed the capacity to feel deeply while not being controlled by those feelings. You have this capacity within you. God has given you this capacity. Your mind is more powerful than your emotions. Your will is stronger than your impulses. Your values are more real than your feelings. Trust the process. Practice the tools. Extend grace to yourself. Keep trying. And gradually over time, you'll discover that your mind is stronger than your emotions. You'll discover that you can choose. You'll discover that you're winning.